Welcome to Channel AMEC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about migrating to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and tell a little bit on the side. So once we have all the updates and news, you'll be the first one of getting all the insight. Now in this video, we would like to update you a very first information, well not new, but fairly new in regards to a Nominator assessing authority for GTI Global Talent Independence. So obviously there has been so many interest of GTI interest clients and applicants going around, and they may meet the criteria, but they need an Australian Nominator. So today's news is all about Nominator. Now why? The reason is Engineer Australia has stepped up to become the Nominator for GTI. If you are in the field of profession of engineering, here we go. It's a very easy way to do it. So all you need to do is go to Engineer Australia. I'm going to show you the whole procedure and the guidelines of how you can. But bear in mind, although Engineer Australia is in one of the authority that could actually become your GTI Nominator, but there's no guarantee that they will actually give you a positive nomination. Just like the ACS, Australian Computer Society, they can actually assess you under the Digitech and ICT profession, but knowingly that we know that a lot of people try, but the ACS might struck them out. So because they are a fairly high authority, they can also be very picky and selective for who the nominee they would like to choose. Anyhow, let's jump in there and have a look. So as of the recent, and in this month of September 2021, Engineer Australia has announced they are open nomination assessment to the Global Talent Independent Program. So it's very good because you're no longer required to searching for individual in Australia to actually nominate you, but by saying that, there's no guarantee again, so we got to be very careful. As long as you understand that you are at that level, they can still be picky. It's a procedure. It's just like EOI, expression of interest, where you're putting a lot of people putting a lot of EOI in, and there's only a number of people being selected and invited to apply to become permanent resident or getting a visa. So again, it's the same process. So bear in mind, there's no guarantee. That's what I'm trying to say, but they do provide that process here anyway. Okay, so let's read on. The Global Talent Independent GTI Program allows professional engineers to nominate and live permanently in Australia. I've done so many videos. You might want to check all those ones. So I'm not going to go through with the detail of what GTI program is all about. So detail will be there, highly skilled professions, and there's a list of priority sectors, and I've done a lot of video in a very specific sector and taking some testimonial to show people how you may meet the requirement, and a lot of detail explanation of definition of particular phrases that they use in the criteria. So you need to be under this program. Applicant must be proved that they are internationally recognized with evidence of outstanding achievements and still prominent in the field of expertise, provide evidence that you have the assets to the Australian, and have no difficulty obtaining employment and recognized organization or individual to nominate the applicant. So there's a little final sentence left here. It says places are also available for certain PhD students who can demonstrate exceptional talent, international recognition. So again, the key word here that we are taking here is available for certain PhD, so not every PhD. Again, this also shows that although Engineer Australia is a GTI nominated now, but they won't take everyone. So it's not like skill assessment. Skill assessments, as long as you meet those standards, they'll give a positive result. Now, for the nominations, they will be very picky. That's what I'm trying to say here. I'm not saying you cannot meet the requirement, but you got to be very careful and But obviously, if they don't pick you, that you can still have that alternative to actually find an individual or some other organization to nominate you, or perhaps. Okay, so that doesn't stop you finding others. Okay, let's read on with the detail here. So the who can be nominated by engineers, right? So you gotta be at the sector. So that's within the, I would say, the advanced manufacturings and all the engineering. Well, chemical engineer will be under perhaps in advanced manufacturing, also perhaps in the field of medtech or other health tech there. So you need to find out, as long as you're an engineer and you're in the technology sector, well, agri-tech perhaps. Agri-tech sometimes require engineer in different type of stuff. So you need to complete a self-assessment. So I'm gonna take you to check out how the self-assessment look like. Okay, and then you need to submit, and then you can apply for engineers to support your nomination. Am I eligible? So we have just gone through with that previously. And how do I apply? So first of all, 3 steps. So in differences between engineers and ACS. ACS, you basically email them with all your detail. I've tried with a lot of interest clients, they get rejected, although they are very talented. But that's what I'm saying. They pick the brightest, and I don't know if they have any quota required for their selections. But anyhow, so this is Engineers Australia's procedures. So first one is you need to complete a self-assessment eligibility, and then second is application submission, and the third is application assessment and a nomination. So third is final step. If you meet those criteria outlined above and have all required documentation, you can apply for the nomination assessment. So I'm gonna take you there and have a look. Let's read on a little bit down here. What document do you need? If you need assistance, authorization, you need to get your authorized recipients or agent to fill out the form. Personal information, that's passports, CVs and all that, education background, and your achievements. So that's including patents you may have, any publishments of articles internationally known, awards that you have won, and also your work experiences and work references, also income proof. Now, how much would this cost? Now, this is very cheap in compared to finding out a particular service to find you a nomination. So this is very good, but again, there's no guarantee here. Although the price is fairly cheap, but it's no guarantee. How much does it cost? The fee for GTI nomination assessment is $110 excluding GST if you're overseas, or $191 if you're in Australia, payable on submission of your application. So different to ACS. ACS take your email, take your documents, and they will come back and say, all right, we'll take you and pay, please pay. Or ACS will come back and say, nah, you don't meet our requirement, we don't want to nominate you, and you're not required to pay anything. But for entering Australia, as long as you have submit your application, you're required to pay. So fee is not refundable, and we're gonna take you into detail how this will work. So first of all, let's jump in there and take a look at the self-assessing independent program, the thing. So it's quite simple. It's no magic here. So your name, email, phone numbers, your citizenship, pick your citizenship where you at. Self-assessment questions, you need to take yes. Are you currently or recently employed? So yes or no. Are you able to attract? Now make sure it's not what you currently earned. They are basically asking, are you able to attract salary equal or more than? So there are evidence required. So I've actually done a specific video on this one. If you do have interest about it or learn more about it, you can actually find that out by searching on my channel. Number 2, can engineering, they should have space here, right? Can your engineering skills be identified with one or more the current target sector? I think they need some English grammar check here. They got all the words connected together. So obviously you'll be yes, because you gotta find. You can be a chemical engineer. You can be a mechanical engineer. You can be an electronic engineer in a space tech sector. Yeah, in a agri sector. In a medtech sector, you can be in the digitech sector. So whatever the engineer that you're in, you need to be identified in those sector. Do you have any engineering degree? So you need to take yes or no. Are you or your achievement proven internationally recognized? So do you have any patents? Do you have any published international published articles in regards to your inventions or in regards to your knowledge and ideas? Are you still prominent? Are you still working as that? So you cannot be an engineer, a superior engineer, and you haven't been in that field for 2 or 3 years. Then that won't meet the requirement. Can your engineering expertise contribute towards the Australian economy? Again, they need to get some grammatical check here. Well, usually if you meet the above, you meet that requirement there. If you are all above, you can evidence the outstanding achievement according to each claim. So you need to take yes. Self-complete from, so this is fairly simple. Now I doubt if you're in those fields, you won't meet those requirements. So but it's a bit too simple, and they may have issue like how the global talent contact form experienced previously. They got massive people putting in, and then I will imagine when things get very, very simple like this, they'll get massive number of people putting or flooding into the system, and obviously that will come to a result of how I have told you now is that the engineers will be really picky and very selective, because if they got thousands, of course they're not gonna accept and nominate all of them. They'll be very, very picky. So make sure you have a lot of firm material supporting documents for your application. Now, next is the actual application. So how does it look? It look very simple. It's just like that. There's nothing else. So if they accept you, they will provide you an EAID, Engineer Australian ID. If you do not have an EAID, click here to create ID, and basically you submit it through just like how you submit it digitally. There's no brainer here. So it's that easy. It's that easy. So the detail here. Let's go into the guideline. Okay, this will be the meat of this whole procedures. So now this I'm pretty stunned by how they design with the cover. Much better than how Australian Computer Society does. Australian Society, Computer Society, their website and their guideline is, well, no design at all. Anyhow, I'm not gonna comment too much on that. I've been complaining too much. Anyway, it's a very simple read guideline. There's only 10 pages. That the first 2 pages are basically nothing. So the introduction, again, I've done so many videos on this. If you are actually watching this video right now, you probably already cover 70% of all that stuff. So priorities, target sector, I'm not going to go through all that. So there's resources, agri-food, energy, health, defense, advance and manufacturing, space, circular economy, digitech, infrastructure, tourism, financial and education. Now GTI eligibility, we have actually gone through that with the web page that Engineer Australia had provided. Candidate must meet high standard and show exceptional track records of achievement. This may include senior role patterns, and these information are actually copied from the web page of the immigration itself. Places are also available for PhD graduate. You need to be exceptional talent. You need to be able to attract that kind of amount of annual income in Australia. Now we've gone through that as well, so that's the same as exactly matching for the self-assessment form. Nomination process, again, they just make it a more graphically understandable. So self-assess, again, and then you go to EA GTI nomination application, pay your stuff, and the application process. Then again, here we go. You see that there is a successful. They give you the form and they give you the little support, and there is unsuccessful, which they make it very, very dark gray that you hardly read it. Anyway, it means fail. It means negative. Okay, and if that's successful, you lodge to the Department of Home Affairs with, again, you need to go through the GTI expression of interest, and you wait for, there's currently a backlog due to COVID, and then they will give you an invitation, ID, and then go to email account. So it's quite complicated, but anyhow, if you need assistance, we have that professional service there. Okay, and self-assessment, we've gone through all that. Submission of application, so personal, we've gone through all that in the previous pages as well. Personal info, you need to have they need additional passport size photographs, scanned copy of your passports, name change documents, and your CV. And education qualification, this is no brainer. They need everything in English. If you have done PhD, the information is there. Achievement, the supporting evidence that will include something like media article, publication patterns, awards. We've gone through all that previous video as well, so there's no brainers here. Interesting part is the keynote presentation. So there's been a lot of people, but you cannot just solely rely on keynote presentation. The official document justify your achievement, depending on nature, the type of evidential provision of a working URL. You can provide a web URL link as well. Prove a high income threshold. So I've done a particular video on this one. So it can be your current employment, it can be a research of your role, equivalent role, and how that role has been awarded with the income level that can be shown. So you must provide evidence income support, eligibility to attract a high income salary, meeting the high income brackets. Assessment nomination. Okay, so once you submit it, during assessment, you may be contacted by your assessor, provide additional information. If you're successful, meet all requirements, you will get a nomination letter and the signed Form 1000. So there's a part of Form 1000 require you to fill in as well. Ensure that all detail indicated nominees detail is correct. And then obviously, then you move on to the actual EOI in the Australian immigration's web page. Now that's the final page is the fees, and the last but not least, the cover page of the end. So again, here's an opportunity that we can see that the government of Australia is obviously looking forward to promote more and more GTI applicants as the country is moving towards a high-tech future. And are you this kind of person, or do you know any of your friends and family members who are in these fields? More than welcome to, lodge the visa. And now we got Engineer Australia to be a nominator. Might as well utilize it. Should you have more question, more than welcome to leave a comment right down below. And I see you next video. All the best. Goodbye.